we're gonna shift a little bit to money. So you talked about sponsors. What happens if we don't get those, or if you don't get those, or somebody you know racing? Do they just not race, or do they generally take that out of their own funds? Has there ever been a time where like fund acquisition has been a problem? You're like, man, this might end it.
Yeah, all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
It's never. You always have to deal with the anxiety that it's never secure all the time. So
Yeah.
these guys in F1, it's not even secure for them. The biggest example I make, Teo Porcher was a young man who won the Formula 2 World Championship. No F1 teams, he barely got enough money to do the F2 championship. Ended up winning. Extremely talented kid. And he didn't get picked up because he didn't have enough behind him from a financial perspective or a business perspective where sponsors could come in and contribute. Even though this kid was one of the best drivers in the world, he went to IndyCar and ended up leaving, right? Because of the same thing. So it's never, even if you're in Formula One, unless you're Max or unless your dad owns the Aston Martin, it's never lay down, relax, the seat is covered until you're paying that. It's very hard because I do work as a in management, where essentially what I do is I'll go out, since I know so much about sponsors, I'll go out and get it for younger drivers, utilizing the assets that I have. We do work a lot with our outdoor advertising. So if I I'll use Red Bull, for instance, and if I go to Red Bull and I'm like, hey, I'm able to get you a couple 100 million impressions through outdoor advertising, way, way, way more of an incentive to be like, okay, yeah, we'll throw you, however many thousands of dollars you need. But the prices most people could generally not work a 9 to 5 and then just be able to just do that just cause, unless they're not paying pretty handsomely.
You have to have those relationships.
Yeah. And it literally,
or dad be the
or as you said, it's literally billionaire. It's literally or your dad's a billionaire. But it's literally comes down to, if you don't get it, you don't race. So that's where a lot of the mentality and the burnout and the motivation comes from, is if I don't get this, I'm not going out there. No one's going to feel bad, and no one's going to, that's the worst part, because everyone has something unique, right? I've roughly 30,000 on Instagram now. I'm proud to say, except a couple I have in my inbox right now, I've answered every single DM I've ever gotten. Most drivers would just kind of shrug that off and whatever, because I'm just so interested in helping people. Everyone just has their own story, right? And everyone has their own thing. Like for me, it's the brain tumor and stuff like that. But it's like, it's just like a world of show business, where it's like, if you don't have a check ready to go, I don't care about your story. Not me. I'm saying from like a sponsors or a team's perspective. Teams don't do the whole, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And that's the worst part about it, because everything anyone knows or thinks about sponsorship who doesn't know the world of racing is completely wrong about it. I don't even know kind of how it got there, really, where it's like, some people are like, oh, I'm just going to go to a karting track and hope a sponsor sees me. Odds are the CEO of Target is not going to be at the same karting track as you, and they won't even it's so opposite from what everyone thinks it is to what it is in real life. And I'm sure there's definitely more questions about it, but I don't want to ramble for 2 years about it. But yeah,
so no, sorry. He said something I thought was pretty awesome, and I have a quote for it. You said some drivers, some racers don't check their emails. They don't care. Like, now they got that ball rolling, so they're just going to focus on themselves. And you said you do the latter. You still focus on helping others because you know what that's like. Mm-hmm. And there's one quote that comes to mind. I can't tell you who it was, but And what you said reminded me of it. And the quote is, the best way to succeed is to help others succeed. And it seemed like what you said kind of really resonated right there. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
So really cool. Really cool.
No, I appreciate it. And it's not like, I don't say it in a way where it's like, oh, I'm so like, I answer everyone or whatever. It was just like, there's something about it. Again, like, I never knock any families who can put their kid through F4 with no problem. A family who can jump 300K on an F4 season, never knock those families, because every racer knows if they were in the same exact spot, they would do the same exact thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's also that kid is still working hard as a driver, right?
Yeah.
Granted, I still think there's some work ethic things that you gain from when you try to make your way yourself. And that is definitely why I answer so many people and talk to so many people as I do, because it's like, there's two main issues racing really comes down to. If you want to break into it, it's money. But beyond that, it's like, you don't even know where to go. Like, literally, it's like, people have some people who want to get into racing, like, they've never heard of Skip Barber before. They've never heard of, I didn't. They've never heard of, all they hear is karting. Okay, what does that even mean? Karting. Where am I going? What am I doing?
Well, if you're from the New York, New Jersey area, it means trash.
Yeah.
I'm in the karting industry.
Yeah.
Got it. You're mafia. Okay, cool.
Exactly. But so I'm like, all I need to do is just answer a couple of questions. And some people, like, they think I don't consider myself a celebrity, but I also don't have the chip on my shoulder where it's like, well, I'm a racing driver and I have a bigger Instagram, and it's like, I'm just, granted, my Instagram's not even that big, it's 30K is not really anything spectacular, but I'm not, just because I'm in F4 and they're not in F4 yet, doesn't mean it's like, oh, I'm in my own club and you're, whatever. So it's like, why should I be like, oh, I'm not going to answer you? Granted, some things get in the way and I don't have time, and I'm experiencing that more. But just try to, I think it should never be like, obviously when helping people, it should never be a reward-based thing. It's not like, I'm going to help so many people and word of mouth's going to spread that Nick DeLucia is such a cool kid helping people or whatever. Like, that's not even what it is either. It's literally just, I was here 2 years ago where you are now. And I had to spend 2 years learning it instead of just asking someone 5 questions. So if I could save them some time, by all means, I'm going to do that,
So, Nick, let me ask you this one. Part of what you do besides the driving is you help drivers. You kind of have the management company going on.
Yeah.
How do you help your drivers find sponsors? And are you doing the work for them?
Yeah.
Or are you teaching them how to get their own sponsors, which could kind of be counterproductive because, like, well, what do I need you for? But at the same time, are you teaching them the skills they're going to need to survive, which eventually they might be like, hey, I know this guy that can help you get started. Like, what's your methodology with that as a manager?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a long journey getting to management. I graduated with a business degree in entrepreneurship. I've been in sales since I was a little kid. So, all of that just flows already kind of within me. So it's easier for me to understand and harder for someone else to understand. But originally I started with sponsorship coaching. I did $100 an hour. Like, if it was a 1 hour session, we just go over your personal story, how we can get sponsors off of that, what we need to do, everything, right? I already had the insane fire under my butt for racing. And I was ready to put in that time already. I was putting in that time where I wasn't in the car for 6 months, emails every day without stop. And I thought everyone was doing this. Come to find out that no one actually wants to do that, and they want the driving lifestyle. So we started off with doing $100 an hour, which, by the way, people are charging thousands for that information, like thousands of dollars. But I wanted something where I was getting paid for what I knew and what I worked hard for, but something maybe a kid could afford. Because the whole thing is that these kids don't have enough money to even start. So why am I going to make it $5,000 for knowledge of how to start? It just, you know what I mean? Like, I could be an ass and be like, okay, this is $1,000, but I'm going to be like, no, let me just help as many people as I can, but still getting, some money on the side, whatever. Right. I did it for a while. I did it for probably total 6 months, but just come to realize that it's like, we'd have the session and then the kids afterwards, they'd be like, all right, cool, whatever. They'd have a fire lit under their ass for 2 days and then be like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. I don't want it.
I didn't want this much work.
Yeah.
And I just
I wanted to do some stuff, but not all the stuff.
Yeah,
I just want to turn the car left and right.
It's so much just being able to get in the seat. It's harder, a million times harder starting in racing than finishing. And that could be like a quote for the next 2 centuries. But it's way harder starting, getting the funding in the seat. But the kids were, they were younger, 14, 17 years old. But then you also kind of realize it's dumb on my part because I'm like, how can I expect? I just finished college with a business degree, and I'm not saying I'm Mr. Smarty Pants over here, but I'm like, how can I expect a 14-year-old kid to be like, oh yeah, I got all of that information. I'm going to go do that tomorrow. You know what I mean? I can't expect a 14-year-old kid who hasn't been in sales, who hasn't done any of that. I can't be like, okay, now go ahead. You know what I mean? So just the whole model of, it wasn't working. People weren't sticking with it. And, now I'm out of school having a job where it's like a 9 to 5. So it's like, I can't keep doing this, and I'm also not going to make a kid spend $100 either to then go do nothing with it. So I started poking into management where we are able, because now I know so much about this world where I'm like, okay, people want the service of, let me just pay you and go do it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to fulfill that, right? You know what I mean? I'll still help people on Instagram, answer questions, whatever. Obviously, I can't go too in-depth into it, but now what we do is with a client, we're only working with 1 or 2 at a time, preferably 1, just because we're utilizing our assets for them. And if I have 10 kids utilizing the same asset, it gets spread thin very quick and you can't get that amount of money that you need. So I'm very lucky for the position that I'm in to be able to utilize outdoor advertising at a low cost. All we have to do is essentially pay for printing and then pay someone to go put it up, right? And then we get roughly 200 million impressions a month of it's all over Hoboken, Newark, Jersey City, some places down the shore. And so that's a big outlet for sponsors. So we'll take that plus whatever they have to offer, plus a couple of things here and there, because I'm getting good viewership from my social media. So we'll just throw that all in one basket. And then we already have, established connections that we've already worked with in terms of sponsorship. So we'll go to them and be like, hey, we're looking for this kid to get into a series. This is what we're offering. And this is also where you're stepping into the realm where it's like, because people are like, oh, it's all talent, right? The kid's not even in the pitch. It's like we prefer he is, because by the way, this kid is also winning national karting championships and national championships, the pitch will go through much smoother. But everyone thinking oh, a sponsor just has to see me race. The person's not even in, we're doing it, you know what I mean, with our assets, and they're still getting something out of it. So that's kind of essentially our methodology, is someone who knows nothing, like a driver who knows nothing about this wants to race in F4. He's a national karting champion. Can I just utilize my stuff, for essentially we do it on a monthly fee. So you have a monthly fee for our outreach services. Sponsorship's never guaranteed, right? Ever. Yeah. I could be one of the most insane drivers on the planet, but it's never guaranteed no matter what. Our fee is just for the work that we do, but it's we have to charge a fee also, because if I'm getting you enough money for $250,000 season, why wouldn't I just charge you $250,000? You know, it didn't make sense. That's why we have to charge a fee. But it's also not like you are getting proof of concept too. You're not just getting, oh, maybe, you know, it might happen. You're getting like, it's all getting laid out for you. You know, we're having phone calls on a weekly basis of it. You know, I'm working with a kid hopefully soon to get him into like GR86 and stuff like that. And yeah, it's very methodical, very thought out, because I did get a little, you know, frankly, I did get a little tired of seeing people who would go through the coaching and then be like, oh, I didn't realize it was going to be this much work. I don't want to do that. They have the free will to do that. But I was like, if I can contribute even more through a full-on management service, let me just do that instead.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like it's very heavy on sponsorship. From what you said, like a normal 9-to-5 is not going to cover all the expenses while maintaining all your personal stuff. Maybe you can fill in, you know, maybe a couple $100 there or here if you're short with sponsorships. But was there ever a time when you had lack of sponsorships and you're just like people you can't do it? You thought it was over?
Yeah. Essentially every second of every day, Rinja. That's how I feel. Yeah, it's like you know, obviously in your head, your pitch is going to sound like the best pitch to a sponsor in the world until it's not. The biggest obstacle in sponsorship is to literally just getting them to answer. That's the hardest part, in just breaking through that wall of that first level, because anyone can shoot a DM to, you know, an energy drink company and they'll be like, oh, fill out this form or whatever. And then it just gets lost in the abyss of forms that people fill out. Right. But it's even like what I have set up is a good pitch that could bring in a lot of customers for a sponsor, but it's like, we're struggling with just getting even in front of them. It's like, once you get in front of them, it's fine, but getting up there is just so hard, because it's just so saturated where they're just getting thousands and thousands of emails and messages a day from racers where they're like, fill out this form, fill out this form, fill out this form, and they, you know, they never read it. But yeah, that's essentially what we experience all the time is, you know, like I said before, I'm looking to get into GT4. I actually had the wonderful opportunity, and we're still working out details. I guess this will be another announcement later, Salty, to test a Formula 2 car or a GB car over in Europe. And you need funding it's like $20K for like a day. You know, they never sent me an actual quote, but I'm just assuming it's like that. But if you don't get it, you don't race. That's straight how it is. You can't even explain it any other way than that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I do have a follow-up to that. So have you noticed when you're doing sponsorships and you're asking, you know, you're presenting, have you noticed a difference between whether you get one or not, with it being like over email, over telephone, in person? I feel like in person, face to face, you're seeing somebody, you're feeling their vibes, if you will. I feel like you get a lot more ground on those versus email, text, call, or something like that. What have you seen the most success with?
Well, given that, I think over the course of having my Instagram, I think I've sent and received somewhere in the range of like 6,000 DMs or something like that. So being able to read text, I've gotten good at that. But yeah, definitely 100% in person. If, you know, I'm actually talking with them, it's a whole different world, because, right, you're more enthusiastic, you're more, you know, whatever.
Got all the body movement.
the mistake a lot of drivers make going into it is they don't do any research on the company. They only make it about themselves. I'm a driver. I'm this. I'm that. I need money, right? You can tell with a company it's not going anywhere though when it's actually kind of funny. The companies who have the least money to spend on marketing are the most like kind of rude almost, and they'll blow you off in a very like unprofessional way. I reached out to a company recently and I was like, just shooting it back at like, I love your products and this, that, and the other. And we kind of went back and forth a little bit and said like, oh, I'm a racing driver. I know you have a crazy schedule. I'd love to just maybe hop on the phone or something like that. And they just read, I'd say like, I'd love to hop on the phone, like, let me know whatever times you're available. And I'd love to work something out with you. And they responded with like, love it, dude. So cool. And that was it. They didn't even read it. Like, So, but it's the companies that don't, it's generally the companies that don't have the money act the most arrogant. And you can tell it's going somewhere when the companies off the bat are just, they're nice with you and they're very like, yeah, like let's hop on the phone and very open-minded and stuff like that. Cause it's like worst thing they can say like, hey, like we're just not interested right now. You know what I mean? But pitching online, it's definitely become, it's definitely easier because it's like, I'd say not pitching online, but just opening up the conversation online is definitely easiest because you can hit a lot of people. But 10 times out of 10, you want to get them into a spot where you're like on Zoom, on the phone, so they hear your voice, they hear who you are as a person. If you're nice, because you can tell if you're on the phone with someone, you can tell if they're being rude, you can tell if they're snobby, like that.
Yeah.
But you want to get them on the phone on a Zoom, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I guess our next question would be, was there ever a moment where you were just like, you couldn't get the sponsors and you were like, this is it. My dream's done.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty straight up question. Yeah, I mean, there have been times where it's like, because you look at the end goal. So for me, it's IMSA, to be a hybrid driver in IMSA end goal, right? And you look at this just mountain of seat time that you need in front of you. And I'm like, I'm getting in one race here, two races here, one, and I can't feed the dragon as much as these kids with, families who can. And that beats you up more than anything. It's just like, you're looking at these people who can just next F4 series, F3, F2, and just like, whenever they want it, they just boom, 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 right? But sports car racing gives you an opportunity where you can catch up to those skill levels and stuff like that, because a lot of people in sports car racing are within that same bracket as you, where they're trying to make it work. And it gives you more of an incentive to really train hard too. But I wouldn't say I had a specific moment where I was like, I'm done. But there's definitely been moments where it's like, damn, like this sucks. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I'm going to beat out these kids.
Yeah.
More, it's not, I'll say it like this, Salty. This is probably the best way to say it. It's more that your dream gets demoted a level almost. So it's like Formula One, right? And then you see the money and the seat time and this and okay, IndyCar, right? And then you see, money, seat time, and then it's like IMSA, and you just like, and it just, so you kind of get knocked down a peg every time. But yeah, I've only so many pegs to go through left. IMSA's the last stop, but that's pretty good.
So when you had all that happening, so when that happens and you were like, shit. I mean, you kind of touched on where you're like, okay, time to readjust the goal, but is there anything you do to get you back into that mindset, back into this is the goal, this is what we have to do? And what do you do, like, mentally, spiritually? How do you get yourself back on track when you're like, okay, I'm never going to race F1? What's the next goal? What do you do to get yourself there?
That again, it's a great outlet for me, is definitely faith in Christianity too, because yeah, we have free will, and yeah, we can make our, goals happen and stuff like that. But it's like, the way I look at it from a Christianity perspective is, if I was supposed to be an F1 driver, I would be in Formula One. You know what I mean? And that's why I don't get beat up over it. It'd be cool to drive it, right? But like, in the same way I broke my leg before that race, I have faith that I was never supposed to be in that race to begin with. So, for Formula One, it's like, yeah, it'd be cool, but was I supposed to be there? And, if I was supposed to be there, why am I not there right now? Granted, with that being said, it's not as easy as like, oh, God's just going to land my butt right in IMSA because I want it or whatever. Like, you don't get handed everything. But it gives you a sense of direction. You almost kind of like know within like your heart of hearts, just like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be going now. Something like that. It's like, I would be there by now. You know what I mean? So mentally, it's definitely a faith-based thing. And then it's just readjusting the goal. It's also like, you have no idea what's going to happen if you get to that end goal too. It's like, people have gone from, IndyCar to Formula One and, vice versa, and WEC to these bigger series. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen. There's not one thing that's going to happen. Will I go to Formula One? Probably not. Am I fine with that? Oh yeah, absolutely. Could I possibly go to IndyCar? It's possible. Could I go to IMSA? It's more probable. Yeah, you just if you're very, as a racing driver, like on your feet about goals and spontaneous about goals, and you're not committed to one thing, it makes it a lot easier, because you never really get disappointed. You're like, as long as I'm driving, who cares? You know what I mean? So pretty much it.
So with all that, you have your goals. We see that you have the mindset. We've seen what you've gone through, all the stuff you've overcome. Let's talk a little bit about what legacy you want to leave behind. I mean, you're young. I'm looking at Rin, who's young, still has hair. My ears are where the hair stops growing. Just years of doing it. But with all the lessons that you've learned, and I'll say one of the biggest things that I've learned over the years is age doesn't make you wise, experience does. Mm-hmm. You have a ton of experience, you're still motivated, what fuels your fire, what keeps you going with, even after the tumor, not being able to fit into a car until you put down the snack case. What keeps you going?
I actually, I said this, I believe I said this to my mom recently. I was on the phone. We talk about racing all the time. One of the things we talk about, actually, I hope she's watching this. We talk about what we would do if we won.
Hold on. Let me ask you before you go, is your mom's name Ariana?
Yeah.
Yep. She's watching.
Hey, Mom.
Shout out to Mom.
It's just like there's so many people being online. It can be a very miserable place. There's a lot of miserable people out there who just want to see others completely fail, completely just hate on life and stuff like that.
That was last podcast we were talking about that. Misery loves company.
It's like I see these comments and it's just like, what are you?
Your mom says hi.
Yeah. But and so many of these kids just resort to well, I'm not in the spot because of my family or because of, this or because of that. It's like, I fully recognize, I grew up in a very lucky situation, went to a great school. But I don't have, in terms of a racing perspective, I don't have a family who could feed 2 million a year into racing. But I'm never going to be like, oh, it's because of my family. It's because what motivates me so much is the fact that it's all dictated by me, right? I say the quote I have, a personal quote I have from a lot of people is, I'm not a billionaire simply because I have not taken the steps to become a billionaire. It's not because my dad was rich and this person wasn't rich and this person didn't give me a handout and this person blah, 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 right? I'm not a billionaire because I haven't made myself into one. It's my responsibility. Like, I don't look at anyone else as a part of it. If I'm in a position where my family's willing to help me out, I'm not going to, out of pride, be like, no, I can't take it, right? That was only for one race that my family was able to help me out, and then I had to kind of figure it out for my own. But the sheer motivation is just the fact that I can control my own outcome with it, right? I do have the faith in God, and I do think God ultimately kind of, points you in that direction, and he does keep you away from paths you're not supposed to go down. So I wouldn't say that I dictate my entire life, but it's more just like, if I want to do it, it's all just based on how I do it. And just like that makes it so much fun to me. The fact that it's not even, you can look at it from, oh, no one can help me, but I'm looking at it from a glass half full where it's like, no one can get in my way either. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm 22, if I want to go race, I can't, my father or mother or family or sister, they can't be like, no, you know what I mean? If I want to race, I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to go do this with that money. I'm going to invest it here and go make more so I can race and figure out those parts. Like, and it also, it's very hard being like, you're 14, I talk to a lot of young men from India, and it's just like such a different world over there. Like, they're trying to, over here, parents are trying to get their kids to work at like 15. There, it's like parents I've talked to are like, kids have parents who like won't even let them work at 16 because they want them to just focus on school. So it's like, granted, I can't have the answer for every situation, only my own. But to sum it all up, what kind of just motivates me like so much is just like, it's all dictated by me. No one can get in my way, and no one like helps, but it's like, when you're fully in control, it means all the blame is on you. So if the dream doesn't work out, that's entirely 100% your fault and no one else's fault. No matter what. So
yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's an excellent perspective to have. You put it all on yourself. So it's kind of like, burn the ships, we're going, like it's forward. Like we have no other option but going up. So exactly. I think that's an excellent perspective. I have, Nick, 2 more questions for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I love
Ren. Ren, did you pay the internet bill this month?
Am I skipping out?
Yeah,
a little bit. You're looking. You're back. You got.
Am I here?
Yeah.
I think.
Oh man, I may be a couple months late on my bill. I don't know. I'll have to check it after this.
May have a storm blowing in there, huh?
I hope not. All right. So good thing I only have 2 more questions. So Nick, if you had to drop racing tomorrow, everything, including management, including like talking to people about how to get into it, everything, how would you say it has impacted you in a positive way? Like, how has this helped shape you? If you couldn't continue it, what would you take away from it?
Geez, that's probably like, I feel like I'm in a movie. That was the most insane question I've ever had. probably in my entire life. I appreciate that, Ren.
Yeah.
Essentially, what I just did I go blurry for a second?
Yeah, you're out of focus just a little bit.
Oh God, I don't. This is my dad's.
I'm having internet issues. He's having camera issues.
Right, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, just exactly what I was just talking about. That if I had to drop it all tomorrow, the one major thing I would take away from it is it's on you, no matter what. 100% of wherever you want to be in life is on you. And if you don't get there, it's because of you, right? Granted, any specific scenario can happen where it's like someone could physically, some person could physically harm you and, kind of ruin your life that way. But there's been people who have been resilient from that too. So if I had to drop, racing tomorrow, it would definitely be what I just touched upon of just like 100% of the time, if I'm not in a place I want to be, it's 100% because of me,
Last one that I have for you, Nick. When's your next race, man?
Oh gosh.
Where do we get tickets?
Yeah, we're still so very fortunate. I hope, Salty, we're definitely gonna have to make a clip of this. A huge thank you to Dan DeMonte and Joe Menudo, who I'm working with. Dan DeMonte is one of the DeMonte brothers who owns Skip Barber Racing School. Huge, massive mentor of mine. Incredible genius salesperson. Just has a huge mind for business in the racing world. Huge mind for racing. Joe Menudo runs the WRL and SRO category of Skip Barber. So like they operate as the school, but they also operate as their own team. Just huge thank yous to them. Just really kind of like set me up with a career and stuff like that. What hopefully will be a paid career in the future. I want to say, look for Circuit of the Americas in December in WRL. Very up in the air. We need a couple of sponsors to land and stuff like that, but
you need someone to sit there in your ear and go box.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we need a couple sponsorship deals to come through. Rain, if you're seeing this, let me know. I reached out to them, DNA. But yeah, I'd say December Circuit of the Americas. If not, it'll probably just roll over into like Barber Motorsports Park in like March or something like that. But I'll definitely keep everyone updated on my thing. I think you can actually get tickets to WRL. I think I'm stepping into that space where it's not, a development series anymore, and it's like real live stream series. So it'll be very cool. But yeah, December. I don't even know what day in December. I think mid-December, like December 20 something. But I should have got more prepared for that.
You can keep us updated, and we can actually we can keep it up on the website too. We can actually track your career with that too, as a with some updates on what's going on. And I'm sure we would love to have. We're gonna want to hear some updates in a little bit, so we're definitely gonna be having you back on.